Ready, set, live. Hello, I'm Gary Quinn, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Live. My special in-studio guest is director and peace activist Emanuel Itier. Welcome, Emanuel.
Hello,
Good to see
Gary.
you.
Nice seeing you, my friend.
Yes. I know we were together the other night, and Emanuel, you are someone that I believe is a force to be reckoned with all the things that you do. You started out as a journalist, and then you took that into directing, and then you took it into peace visionary. And I think that's pretty cool to be able to make that transition. What was the inspiration that got you started?
Well, the inspiration is, I always say, it's we the people. I think, if we start looking at each other, and if we can start engaging a conversation with each other, it's interesting how new thoughts come to your mind, to our mind. So I always say, one day, that was 10 years ago when I did the invocation, and you were part of this one when we met. I was wondering, where do I go next? I had done, as you said, a lot of journalism, production of all sorts, mainly action, horror movies. I wasn't really satisfied with myself, so there was a lot of internal boiling. And I started to talk to friends, and some of them were engaged in making documentaries. So I thought, well, that's interesting. It seems like maybe I could express some different vision, different ideas. And really, by talking around, I realized that I had a community of spiritual people like you. So I thought, well, why don't I do a movie about that, about oneness? And it came in a very organic way. And I think that it's always the case if you dare to come out of your comfort zone and you reach out and you start asking questions. What shall I do? How do I do it? I always say it's a process. It's I think. So it starts with you. Therefore, I am. And you start boiling. Therefore, we do. And because, we put, too much pressure, on people to be all of what they want to be. It's not all about you. It's about we, And so we need to re-articulate this relationship and let the flow of energy fly between each other. And then that's how it happened, really. But now, after 10 years, I've done, as you said, 6 feature documentary. I'm finishing my 6th one, Guns, Bombs, and War, a love story. It's a deep study of violence and relationship, sadly very timely. And how do we go from there? How do we rebuild our human community?
And what's so great about the films, the invocation was about oneness, Femme was about powerful women, and the third one was The Cure, which is all about holistic but different ways of healing.
Healing the mind,
the
healing
body,
the body,
the spirit.
healing the planet. Because it's all connected.
Correct. And then the other one was We the People, which was basically about the... how would you describe We the People?
We the People is a re-evolution of economics and politics. And I did it at the same time that I did The Cure, because I think, if we don't have a functioning planet, it's 2 problems. The healing of the mind, body, and the planet needs to happen. But at the same time, so it's transforming us at being better individuals, stronger individual, people of vision. And then we need to run for office. So it's connected to economic and politics. And why? Because politics is politis, from the people, with the people, for the people. And economic is economia, the management of the resources. So in a way, we are all potential politician and economician. But we don't put that in action because we don't have necessarily the tool, or because, again, maybe we are a little bit confused in our mind and our body is not necessarily functioning. So it's about balance. It's about rebalancing the energies. It's what Femme was in a way, because Femme, as you said, was about women, but more important, it was about rebalancing the feminine and masculine energies. And that's another issue on the planet, is that we've been kind of the victim for 3,000 years of this ultra-patriarchal, macho, dominant killing system. So now we need to bring back the femininity, and not only in terms of women back into position of power, but us, the guy, being more sensitive, more caring,
being
more
more
nurturing.
aware.
Yes, you're as much a father than a mother. And we are all, by the way, in the body of a mother, for 3 months, we are both feminine and masculine. So there is sometimes a separation, sometimes not, but we embody all these energies. So we need to find them back and rebalancing them.
And what was so great about the first film the invocation is that you brought so many different people that maybe might have not been consciousness. First of all, you brought in Sharon Stone to be the executive producer of all your films, these documentary films, but also Annie Lennox. You brought in Reverend Michael Beckwith, Deepak Chopra, Desmond Tutu, a host of great people, Mark Wahlberg. The list goes on, and I think that was the start of this kind of revolution that you're going through of actually, you've been through these classes of upgrades where you as an individual went to school on every film you made.
Absolutely.
And that gives you the essence of this whole massive awareness of what's really going on, which is timely because that's where you're heading to in this next political opportunity that's moving for you.
Right.
Which is great because most people don't do that.
Yeah, it was a self-revelation, because again, we are all wondering, what am I worth and what can I do with myself? And it's really hard. And I think that's when people have midlife crisis because they wait too long. And so there's a growing of frustration, of bitterness, of anger, and then they snap. And it happens. It can happen at 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, depending on your path in life. But it happens, and we see it with so many of our friends. And even in a way, it happened with me, because I think these movies came to me because I was really at a conflictual point in my life. I wasn't really happy with that silly making horror and action, stupid movies for no good reason. And so it was a self-revelation. And I think, indeed, for the last 10 years what I call humanitarian documentaries, it gave me a crash course at life. And I think that now I'm bringing it to the next level, because again, I think, the thinking, the being, and the doing always evolve. My doing now has expanded, and as I told you, I just formed a political movement in France, and it's a spiritual movement as well, from spiritus, which means the breath. So it's not religious, it's not guru-like, it's very organic. It's about trying to give each other back the oxygen we need to keep going.
Right.
So I formed that movement. It's called the French Victory. Needed to be pretentious for 2 seconds, and more like affirmative. And now, yes, I'm attempting to do the impossible, which is to run for president of France in 2022. But really, it's just putting in action what I've learned.
Correct.
So again, it's not force. It has come very organically. It has come from studying, as you said, the notion of oneness, the balance of feminine and masculine, understanding really what it means to do politics, what it means to do economics, now study of violence and relationship. So I think to be a good politician, you need to have a full life experience. And what I regret with so many of our politicians, and most of them sadly are in big offices, is that they don't really have a life experience. They're either a corrupted gangster-like businessman, or they are just a Florentian dreamer that's been to school since age 18 studying economic and politics, but they have never done a business deal or sold a baguette of bread of their lives. So you need to have both. You need to have studied, and you need to have a real practical approach of life. And I think that's what I'm offering. And on top of that, I'm offering a global vision, which is the other point, because you cannot do politics only thinking about your country. Your country is only a part of a big puzzle. We are 7 billion human beings. We have an infinity of countries. Well, it's one people, one planet to a very, well, in terms of quantum physics, it is. All our molecules are intertwined. So it is one people, one planet. But also it's one people, one planet, more and more economically, politically. And we see it. Everybody's in debt with each other. Right. Everybody's in business with each other. So why the fight?
Correct.
Well, why the fight is very easy. I can answer that in 1 second. It's because sadly, these politicians who are not really politicians, but who are gangsters, are in the business of selling weapons to each other. So they're in the business of death. But that's the worst business deal you can be in, because you're killing your consumers. So there is no growth possible. And by the way, they all say we are in growth. That's not true. The US have $20 trillion of debt. France have $5 trillion. Germany is the same. England has $9 trillion. So you are all fooling yourself and each other, and that's not cool. Right. Because you are really in the business of killing us, and that's enough. We should be in the business of life, which is what you and I have been since we are babies.
Well, I think what's happening is it's almost like a explosion of the world, because everything has been dormant of this fear, this anger, this rage,
Fear.
this power. And what's happening is it's now exploding. And I see that just going to a lot of these countries. I see the consciousness of the people is starting to change, but they don't know exactly what to do.
And they don't have necessarily the tool.
Correct.
So you're giving them the tool, and then now it's about telling them, that's okay. We remove the fear. We gave you the tool to be active. Just run for office. Whatever it is, your school district, your church.
Correct.
I don't care. Just be an active participant of change.
And it's also to take responsibility to change the home system of your family, your friends, to be that kind of, I don't want to say be the Dalai Lama, but to
Yes,
put out
absolutely.
that, become that energy in order to make some kind of change, even if it's just a little step.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. You are capable of so much stuff. You have no idea. And actually, it's even worse. You were kind of told you have no possibilities. You have no capacity.
Correct.
You're just an idiot. That's not true. There are no
Correct.
idiots on this planet.
Correct.
There are only beautiful souls, beautiful geniuses, but most of them have been put in the box and told you have to stay in this box.
Correct.
Surrender, don't question, just live your life and you die and that's it, it's done. Or sometimes you come back better. And I'm like, really? I'm going to wait for the next life?
Correct.
What about this one?
Correct. And that's so interesting, because I find that many people that I coach in different countries, that is the number one issue, that they've been put in a box through their parents, their society,
Religion.
and they're angry because they're not authentic. So they're searching to get out of this box, but they don't know where to go. They know that they want to feel happy, they want to feel loved, they want to have some kind of, let's say, security in some way, but there is no security. It starts first from within, to trust themselves, to really love themselves. And part of it is that they don't love themselves because they've been told you have to do this, or that this isn't the career for you, and I think that what you're teaching through your films, but also through your voice, is really to empower people to wake up, to really wake up and go within and take responsibility of where you are, and just take baby steps, like you're eating some kind of spiritual nugget of awareness.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. I see that all over the world with every culture.
Yeah,
has this
absolutely.
issue.
It's about self-empowerment, and after it's about we empowerment. Because once you are really that force of nature, you need to realize, oh, there is another force of nature there, Gary and Emmanuel. But what Gary has to offer is different than what Emmanuel has to offer. It's not in competition, it's in partnership. Like this show wouldn't happen if in this room we didn't have three people, you,
Correct.
I, and the beautiful soul force of nature who's filming all that and recording all that.
Correct.
So it's a partnership, and it's about realizing what am I strong about, and usually it's not too many. Don't be over pretentious. If you have one good ideas, one good strength, that's plenty. But it's about knowing that and knowing what your partners, and partners plural, will have and have that you can put in common. So it's about re-articulating this relationship. I think, the big failure we've been is that we haven't been in relationship in the sense of really connected and creating life together. We've been in business-ship, in sex-ship, in consumer-ship, abuse-ship. So we need to re-fall in love with each other and re-articulate what is create life. And that's this
Well, it's
genesis.
interesting what you just said is falling in love with themselves and others. People don't do that.
They're scared.
Correct.
They are told actually that,
Correct.
you shouldn't love. It's a sin.
Correct.
What?
Correct.
That's the only other debate we need to have. We need to have a discussion on religion. Religion comes from religare and religare. Religare is a notion of transcending, and religare is at that same time the notion of coming together. So, if you look at all the scripture, they are just a blueprint. This is not your life. This is just the foundation for your temple. So you need to build your own temple. Yeah, sure, learning from these beautiful scriptures, but this is not it. And so people who are just locked into these scriptures and who are falling into madness because of the scripture, I feel sad for them because they don't get it. But sometimes it's not only their fault, it's the fault of the people who preach to them.
Right.
So they think that that's all it is. That's why it's tough. I've got a book. That's it. No, life is not a book.
Correct.
Or
Correct.
if it is, it's a book that adds pages every day.
Correct.
So it doesn't mean you forget the first pages, but you grow and you help each other grow
Correct.
with that.
And the thing is, people are afraid to grow because then they change, and then people might not accept them
Yeah,
if they change.
of course.
Because, oh, that's not.
And it's uncomfortable, it's challenging because you have to adapt and, you know.
Well, that's almost like a family member or someone who is known for being that person. They actually evolve and they go back into the family, and the family goes, that's not the character you are. Why are you acting so this way? And then they see that that's not who they are anymore. It's really not their family. They have actually created their own family. And I think you know, a lot of people in these times are so hungry to switch or change, or it's almost a desperation, the 11th hour. What can I do? You know, and I think the key is to just, what would you suggest to somebody who, a business person or a creative person that's out of control, or that they really have no whereabouts in their life or no focus? What would you say to them? What tips would you give someone like that?
It starts with being in silence with yourself, but not only with yourself, but with your environment. So people, for example, always tell me, so do you have a trick? Do you meditate? No, I just isolate myself from time to time. You know, I think we all need our space, and we are in a society where space is a rare commodity. It's really rare to be in a very silent place because there's so much noise, but there are also so many people. So it's congested, it's distracting, you know, and it's really rare also to drop your iPhone and not use it more than 5 minutes.
Right.
So I think that it starts with forcing yourself to disconnect from 2 seconds from anything and try to find yourself back. And who am I? You know, start asking questions. Really, okay, whether you are super poor or middle class or super rich, am I really happy where I am? And why is it that I'm not happy? You know, so it's really starting that dialogue with yourself. And then obviously you're going to come up with a set of questions. And if you cannot answer this question, well, you reach out. We all have friends.
Right.
We all have, you know, we are all separated by 6 degrees or more
Correct.
or less of separation. So you reach out and say, hey, Gary, you know, what do you think? You know, I've got a bad relationship with my girlfriend, or I'm frustrated with my job, or whatever it is, or
Correct.
my sexuality, or whatever. Because, you know, it can be as intimate of that. Sometimes it's about not being fulfilled, aware of who you are as a sexual being. You know, not only the business being, the thinking, the husband, the wife. People are lying to themselves. And
But I think people have to learn to bring their whole self
Yes.
to every part of what you just said.
Absolutely.
Their business life, their home life, their personal life,
Yeah.
instead of separating in a compartment going, oh, well, that's me
It's
over
all connected.
here. Correct.
It's connected.
And that's what's so great about the oneness.
And by the way, that's my theory about really what makes a perfect relationship. For me, a perfect relationship is about 3 circles of life. And circle because what goes on comes around, there needs to be a flow. But between 2 people, whatever they are, they can be in businessship, in sexship, in friendship, it's about 3 circles of life. The first circle of life is what I call the circle of the soul. It's all this really ultra stimulation of the intellect, the spiritual, the mind. You know, how we can really start ping-ponging with each other so we stimulate each other's mind. Second is a circle of the body. And it's not necessarily only about sex. It's about energies. It's about molecule. It's like, hey, I hug you and I feel good. You know, it's like when parents hug their kids. There is a notion of completeness, of togetherness. So these are the 2 first circles, circle of soul, circle of body. And the third circle is a bit tricky. It's what I call the circle of fate and destiny. The fate is the deck of cards you're born with. You are who you are. You don't necessarily choose that body, that intelligence, that religion, that place where you're born. So you are in front of a fatality. But the destiny is what you make of that fatality. Well, the trick is that when we are in relationship or we enter in relationship with each other, we're going to face each other's destiny. And how does that intertwine and combine or not? So the ultimate trick is to identify, oh, well, I see where he's going. I know pretty much now where I'm going. So what are these points of convergence? Like today we said, hey, let's get together and have a conversation. That's when our destiny meet. And then we're going to go along our way, you to Japan, Milan, anywhere, and me to my wife and kids. And so it's interesting to realize you don't need to have a destiny that's permanently 24/7 connected to each other. But you need to definitely find the point of convergence. You need to create this synergy. And I'm convinced the day we have a beautiful network of 7 billion souls, all into relationship of the mind, the body, and the destinies, we can achieve anything. Because on top of that, we realize it is one people, one planet. I mean, somebody has to tell me how these politicians dare to just keep fighting when we have 5 billion people, more or less, in an extreme degree of poverty, of dying of various diseases. We have almost a disease every day. We have catastrophic environmentally wise. So what? And then meanwhile, there is all this growth, supposedly, so all this excess of money and resources and geniuses, and you don't do anything to make it work?
Right.
Shame on you.
Right.
You know, I mean, I think the day we put the dream of the United Nations into a reality, because right now it's a separate society, and I don't want to put that on too much, but the problem is that all our presidents, all our governments lay their crap on them. Say, oh, you, the UN, fix the problem.
Right.
No. We have to fix the problem. We are the solution. We are the healer of each other. So that's enough. You know, we need to really make one people, one planet, have a world government. Doesn't mean that it's a fascist system. It means that you bring together all the possibilities. And then, of course, everybody's their own man and woman. Of course, we make decisions on our own and delocalize. But at least we stop the insanity of killing each other, of fighting for no point.
Who inspires Emanuel?
We the people,
Okay.
really. I mean,
Okay.
it's funny because people tell me who inspires you. Everybody inspires me. My cats inspire me. Gary Quinn inspires me. Sharon Stone. Thank you, Sharon, by the way. Because that's a small story for you for 2 seconds about Sharon Stone. People say, Sharon Stone, and she's the grandmother of 2 kids. How did that happen? I'm like, life happened, but it started with not even a vision, more like a dream. When I conceived the Invocation, the movie on oneness, so it was really a study of the notion of God, but in its large term. Because, by the way, the word God comes actually from a verb, pan-Germano European verb, which means to invoke. And that's why I call the movie The Invocation. It's a notion of entering in relationship. So it's interesting because now I'm at 360. But anyway, when I created that movie, I went to bed and I was dreaming about who can be the voice of God, the narrator. And out of nowhere came the voice of Sharon Stone. And it's funny because I had met her only once. I had interviewed her. She don't know that, but I had interviewed her as a very humble journalist that wasn't speaking too much for The Mighty. It was a print interview, a Miramax movie. And I had been impressed, but I'd never been a really huge fan. I always been very admirative of her talent, but I didn't have like a fetish or an obsession. And it's funny that this voice came in my mind. I clearly heard her voice. So I started to put this thought into an action and say, how can I reach out to her? And I realized one of my friends, Nathalie Dubois, at the time was working with her. And I said, you know, could you help me? And it took time. We had to show Sharon like many cuts of the Invocation, and she was entirely right. My movie was a mess, but she really spanked my mind and my body to make it a better movie. And so at the end, she finally said, wow, this is great. I would love to be your partner and do the narration. I was honest immediately saying, I don't have any more funding anymore. I'd run out of money. She said, you know what, just set it up. We make it work. Don't worry about it. And so it's beautiful how it's an example of how things can happen if you dream them,
Correct.
You put them in action, and you cherish them. Like I adore and I cherish Sharon Stone. I mean, I'm devoted to her, and we had our ups and downs, like every relationship. But it's about really identifying that beautiful soul, that genius, with whom you know you make sense at time. on specific focuses, and we've done 4 movies together. You know, with the people, Femme, she was in Femme as well, The Cure, and The Cure with the people, Femme and Invocation. So it's a proof that, you know, it can work out, but you have to give it all. You have to surrender to each other. That's the other thing, is don't be afraid to the point to let yourself lose into the other. You will reborn beyond them and transcend and be another changed person. I mean, definitely the Emanuel Itier before working with Sharon Stone and after, or working with Gary Quinn after, is different. You know, and we all took a risk on each other, but we come out much stronger, much more vibrant, with our own vision of what we can do, who we are, and how we can go to the next level. You know, in my case, being president of France in 2 years.
Yes. Well, that's great, because you had a vision, the intention about having her speak in the film, and look how you manifested it. There was, you know, and I tell that with people, and that's an example of the manifestation of, whether you want to call it the laws of attraction, destiny, or the connection that you have with her, you manifested it.
Yeah. So it's interesting you mentioned that, because that's where the secret is right and wrong. Law of attraction. I think, yes, it starts with you, but it keeps going with we. Right. Meaning that if Sharon Stone had said, bye-bye, I was done. And it's not me like begging and praying and whatever, doing voodoo crap, writing it and saying every day in front of the mirror, I want Sharon Stone. No. It came from her as well. So we have to realize that to change the world, it's a collective world. So we all have to have dreams, but we all have to articulate this dream and make sure we answer each other's call. Yeah. And that's very important, because a lot of my friends, you know, are very frustrated. It's like, well, I don't understand. I pray. I'm a good person. I say, yeah, but do you get out of your house? Do you connect? Have you done everything to reach out? And if these people say no, do you keep going? And the answer is, you have to keep going. You just cannot give up. You have to keep going. And it's the hardest. And that's why you need to surround yourself by people who truly love you for the simple person that you are, because we're all, again, geniuses and idiots at the same time. It's very interesting, this duality. So we have to find a few people that no matter what you do, I love you, man. You're perfect to me, you know. And actually, it's funny because, you know, husband and wife or friend and partners always say that. And people are like, it's crazy. She's an idiot or he's an idiot. Well, it doesn't matter. To these two persons, they are perfect. And we need that reassurance. Because obviously we're not perfect. Nothing is perfect. You know, perfection is a progress. It's a chaos in progress.
And I think that what you said about really creating the intent is also to have the gratitude of not saying it has to be Sharon Stone. If it's could be someone else, but that you had the vision to expand, to say, I'm bringing in someone that's going to make this project move forward. And I think people, you know, they say it has to be that. You don't know how the universe is going to set it up. It could be a bigger opportunity or a better opportunity, but dreaming big is also feeling it. You know, sometimes when I go to these countries, I have these downloads from wherever the past life I might have had in that country. And I find that the thing is to be happy and joyful inside no matter what. Yes, we want to create these changes. You want to be president. You want to have this. You want to create that. But instead of looking that will make me happier, it's like I'm already inside happy. So you become a magnet to draw the Sharon Stone to you, to draw opportunities to you, instead of you chasing after
Absolutely.
them.
Yeah, it's a balance between the insanity that you have inside, the dream, and the reason, you know, what is accessible to you at the end. And are you happy with what you got? Give you a second example where it didn't work the way I wanted. For Femme, I remember I wanted a narrator. And it was, by the way, a movie that was going to be only on women, with only women. I was the only man with my director of photography in the picture and behind, obviously. But on the screen, I just wanted women voices. But to balance that, I had in mind to have a male narrator. And I went insane after Richard Gere. And I was turned down all the time. I even met him and he said, I'm going to get back to you, never did. And it's like, and that's where you have to become reasonable. It's like, okay, well, maybe this is not the perfect vision for the movie.
Right.
What does the movie want? And at the end, I'm like, you know what? No, maybe the movie just want women. So let it be. And so we ended up having a written narration.
Right.
And it worked out beautifully. Some men question it and they said, oh, well, the man. And I'm like, so I tell them the story so they feel a bit better. And by the way, well, we have two men. They are behind the picture, the director and the director of photography. But yeah, you have to find that balance between the insane person that you are, the driving mad force, and the reasonable, gentle human being you can become. So it's very hard. It's a very uncomfortable struggle dance with yourself and everybody, you know. But it takes a lot of love, you know. At the end, it's love. It's love that's going to make you thrive and keep going.
Do you have any fears?
Yes, of course. People who say that I have no fear, it's like, oh, you're full of shit, or you're drunk or stoned or whatever drug. Yeah, my only fear, and hopefully it won't happen to me, but my only real fear, because of that energy that you see that's always in perfect eruption, so that needs to do things. My only fear is to be paralyzed in an hospital bed and not have any possibilities of communication, of moving, of nothing. But my brain is 100% perfect. And I think there was a movie about that, about a man who goes through a car accident and he ends up paralyzed. And it's
Where did you get that idea, though?
I don't know, because I looked at myself constantly within my head, and I'm trying to figure out what are still my flaws, my imperfection. You know, I'm very insecure. I think I've got too much of a big nose, and I've got a spot, and, you know, loss of hair. I mean, we are very self-conscious, you know, and I don't know if it comes totally from us or from society. It's probably a little bit mixed bag. But, you know, I think one time somebody asked me, what is, do you have fear, and what is it? And, you know, I couldn't come up with an answer because, strangely, since the age of 15, 16, I haven't paused to wonder, what am I scared of? You know, I met a woman on the plane. I moved to the US. That was insane. And that's when I had to kind of abandon all fear. Because when you are a simple guy that barely completed high school, meet an American woman on a plane and move to a different country, not speaking the language, barely having any financial support, you have to abandon all fear. So I had abandoned all fear. So I had to revisit a thing to make me maybe a bit more human and accessible, that notion, what scares me. And really, I think that's the only thing that scares me, is being this incapacitated physically person who has a brilliant man who still wants to achieve so much because he loves the planet so much, because he loves everybody. You know, if anything, I've got a Christ complex. You know, I fall in love every second. I only see beauty. I mean, I see the ugliness in people, but I only focus on their beauty. So that's why there is that notion of Christ complex. Even so, obviously, I'm not the Christ and I'm not the Messiah, but I think we need to develop that. We need to look at somebody and say, you know what, he's not perfect. I can see he's kind of an asshole, but wow, that part, beautiful. Let's connect and let's dance together. And so for me, it's that, you know, I mean, being incapacitated to the point I cannot connect, I cannot be part of that oneness, and I cannot do anything, and I cannot participate, I cannot be of service, I cannot love, that would be devastating. But even so, maybe in that infinite silence, I will find a way to communicate. I don't know, maybe with my brainwaves. Who knows? I mean, again, we have so many capacities, you know. I believe in us. You know, we are using, what, 5% of our brain, 10% of our bodies? Yeah. Can you imagine if we are really focused a bit more with each other and helping each other? Maybe we can fly. Maybe we can fly. Let's try it. Let's fly.
If you could go back in history, Emanuel, and meet someone who's no longer alive, who would you want to meet, and what would you say to them? They can be anybody.
It's funny. I had just three people in my head that came to my mind: Gandhi, JFK, and Marilyn Monroe. Okay, and I'm sorry, French people. Oh my God, you know, I didn't even think about a French person. But I'm very instinctive. And
what would you say to Gandhi?
Well, Gandhi, because I remember I saw the movie. Richard Attenborough did an amazing movie. I even interviewed the actor who played Gandhi. And I've got actually a DVD signed by him, not by Gandhi, by the actor who played Gandhi. I was impressed. I was impressed how you can be such a force of nature and at the same time allow nature to be a force unto yourself. So it's a perfect example of how we need to be a moving force in life, but let life direct you as well. So be a director as much as being directed. So that's an example for me, Gandhi. That's that perfect oneness with the planet, with the people, and what he achieved. I mean, Gandhi is an idea that's still alive today. It's amazing. There's one line that was kind of attributed to him, but which actually came from an American writer, A.J. Must. There is no way to peace. Peace is the way. And it is that, Gandhi is peace. He is the way. He is the peace. And we all need to try to achieve that. And that's takes time, but I think it's doable. It's not inaccessible. GFK, because obviously I want to be president. Of course. Why? I mean, that's an example of what to do and not to do. So you have to have an agenda, but maybe be a little more cool about it so you don't get shot, within your first mandate. Because I think if GFK had still been alive, maybe we wouldn't have the America we have today, so divisive and manipulated by a bunch of pretentious idiot. Sorry, I mean, France is not much better. Trust me, that's why I'm running. But GFK, definitely. That's for me a political example. Also, he embodied, I had to pick up a slogan as a potential presidential candidate. And for me, it's I the people, we president. And so it's a notion of, it's not about what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And it's exactly that. When I say I the people, because I am the people, but we president, because I believe it's together we need to manage. And even so, sure, there is a referee, because I see, life as a big soccer game, because I'm French, obviously it's soccer versus American football, but it's the same. You have a team of people playing, runners, the people. And then you have a referee, and the referee for me, or two, and the referee for me are the presidents. They are the government. And referees shouldn't be in between players. They should let them play. But what they should do is say, hey, time out. There is a problem here. Let me guide you. Let me help you. Let me heal you. So for me, a president is a healer more than anything else. It shouldn't be a dictator. It shouldn't be a royalist. It shouldn't be, somebody that imposes his vision. It should let the people speak and just massage that vision, massage that communication. So GFK. Right. And then Marilyn Monroe, because I'm a sexy French motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding. I'm full of myself. See, I can be full of myself. Marilyn Monroe, I don't know. I mean, because again, I probably... because I'm French and I love women, and and also, it's about using your charm. I think men sometimes are brutes. Look, I don't like particularly Trump. I don't like him that much. But on the economical standpoint, I agree that, getting rid of as many taxes we can is great. Not going after the rich, but articulating a relationship with the rich is great too. But you could do it with a little bit more finesse and charm and sensibility and be cute. Dare to be cute as a guy. I dare you to be cute as a guy. Right. You and I have learned that. You don't need to be that macho idiot all the time and that bully. It doesn't work, because you create a psychological fracture. You want everybody to be super strong, super sexy, super in love with each other. And that's how we can really come up with a good compromise from everybody. So putting tariff on on the person you have the most debt with, which is China. Well, actually, the Saudis, we have debts with them as well. But, it's kind of silly. It creates a psychological fracture. It makes noise. And you need to be honest. I mean, really, Democrat or Republican? No, Democrat and Republican. We're all consumer of each other. We all buy each other goods. You go in a supermarket, and you're going to have some people, employees, who are Democrat and Republican, and consumer who are the same. So we're all connected. So let's not be blinded by our ideology, and also let's not be blinded by our ego, by that macho stupidity. So that's what I regret. So Marilyn Monroe, she feminized me. She brings a sense of humbleness, sexiness, charm, and I need that, obviously, as a human being, as a husband, as a friend, and hopefully as a president. So Gandhi, GFK, Marilyn Monroe.
When you leave this experience in life here, how do you want to be remembered? So they say Emanuel is.
Well, it's what they say already. He's crazy, man. He's fucking crazy. And I say, yeah, child, guilty, absolutely. So yeah, crazy for sure. He loved everybody. He helped everybody. You know, it didn't take that much for him. You know, just enough so he could feed his family and get drunk from time to time, and that's it. I mean, you know, I mean, look, that shirt is 15 years old. These pants are 10 years old. I mean, I don't really, you know, I bought a car finally last year after 20 years because last ride I took early January, I thought I was going to die in this car, you know. So people say, oh, look at you, you're driving a BMW. I was like, yeah, but it took me 20 years to get it. And by the way, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the bank.
Correct.
I make $400 a month payment, you know. So I work my ass. Yeah, that's the other thing. He worked his ass. He was always open 24/7 for his family, his friend, for people. And that's, again, why I'd be a great president, because I won't sleep until we have a united world. And that's it, you know. I mean, I don't have an ego where I can pinpoint something, because I don't think I'm that amazing. I think the thing that's amazing to me is that, yeah, I've got that messiah complex, you know. It's funny to me, or every time I'm depressed, every time I'm like starting to be judgmental at people, the love in me comes back to the surface, give me that strength and say, no, yes, we are beautiful. Yes, we can do it. Yes, we are the people. We are the power. We are the planet. So let's do it, you know. So that's, if people want to waste their time to remember me, I think you should not remember me, but focus on your present and the future. For me, it's more important. But use me as a reference for some of the little silly blah blah I said. You know, it's the same like when you mentioned Gandhi, DGFK, and Marilyn Monroe. I don't know what they would have want people to remember them, but we remembered ideas of them, what they maybe represented, what they stood for,
their essence,
what they were fighting for. So if anything, till my last breath, I will fight for the people. And when I say the people, it's the planet. You know, I close my eyes and I see the entire pain, suffering, but also joy, abilities, capacity. And when I open them, I'm like, that's it, I'm ready, let's get to work. Let's go to work. You know, and so that's the vision. You know, it's a vision of unity, amazing unity that we're capable of.
Well, I think you're the hardest working peace activist in the world.
No, thank God we are many. I'm not alone. And I hope you will join us.
Yeah, people can find all the films on Amazon.com, and where else they can.
Well, I'm very lucky. I signed a deal last year with a company that I'm blessed with called Freestyle Releasing.
Okay.
Belongs to Byron Allen, but the deal was engaged by a friend of mine, Chris Carolombolis. So Chris, one of his headmaster, definitely fell in love with me and my movies, and we made a deal where all the movies now are available on iTunes, on Amazon, Vimeo. I mean, all the platforms you can think about, Vudu, everything, everywhere. So it's I'm blessed for that. My sadness, it's only in the US and Canada. So now, and you've been an agent of that, we are trying to spread the message, the beautiful message of peace and love around the world. So, you know, hopefully, little by little, we get to France and Japan and Italy. Well, in Italy, Invocation and Pharma release. Switzerland, Germany, thanks to our good friend Sabine Geiger, that I salute and thank. So we're in Germany as well. So, people, and, you know, just type my name, Emanuel Itier, on Google. You will see my site, Wonderland Entertainment Group, wonderlandantgroup.com. It's very easy to find me. You know, I'm not hiding. I don't have that fear to be found and dealt with. I mean, it's funny because now I've got so many accounts. I've got the Emanuel Itier account and Emanuel Itier, the French president, right? Or the French president to be. And it's interesting. So now I'm entering in contact with people. I have no idea who they are, where they come from. And it's like, that's where you realize you really have to have as less fear as you can, because the other day somebody is like, hey, you fatso, so what are you going to do with marijuana? Are you going to legalize it in France? So I reply, well, the fatso will do what the people want. You know, but so I try to make fun of myself, and I try to promise without promising, but also expressing what I believe is that, if the people want it, And if medically research shows us it's not more dangerous than alcohol, and we know by now it's not more dangerous, it's equally dangerous if you abuse of it, like everything, like chocolate. Why not? You know, I mean, obviously, that will probably make some revenues from sales taxes and therefore finance maybe some governmental program and education and so on. So it's not a bad idea. You know, I mean, obviously the problem is people say, yeah, but you're opening the door to other drugs. Well, it's already wide open. I mean, obviously, in many countries, marijuana and alcohol is legalized. That's two major drugs we have to be prudent with. But that doesn't mean you open it to cocaine, heroin, and things that are more destructive. I mean, obviously, no. I mean, I'm somebody who is very tolerant and very inclusive, but when it starts to make no sense, I say, oh, please, stop. And I would say that to the president. At the same time, I would always say, by the way, you, the people who is really in charge, because I work for you, what do you think? You know, and so sometimes when you have big decision, you have to take it as a family, and that's what I want. I want us to become that family, you know, the human race. We are a family. Remember, I love you. Hopefully you love me.
Well, I love you. Thank you so much for coming today, Emanuel.
Thank you, my
It's
friend.
been great.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us today with Emanuel Itier. Until next time, keep thinking great thoughts.
And let's send some peace and love.
And peace and love.
Yes.